day everyone, and welcome to the first video of our brand new series where we are going to learn JavaScript from absolutely beginner to advanced concepts. Well, my name is Knowledge Moyane and I'd like to welcome you here on Fake Code. The fact that you've opened this website, I'm pretty sure you have ever once, even yesterday, probably today, you have looked at a website and wondered, how do they make that button to do something? Or how does this page update me that it's refreshing at the moment? Like, I don't know, do you get what I'm trying to bring to your attention at this point? So, follow along. This series will be teaching you JavaScript, how to use JavaScript. So in simplest term, the answer to the question that we ask ourselves, what is Java? Java is a programming language, and to add to it, I like to call it a programming language of a web. Of the web. But one thing that I also want to bring to your attention is Java has nothing to do with JavaScript. JavaScript has nothing to do with Java. Java has nothing to do with JavaScript. These two are completely different. The name was a marketing tactic from long ago. Java was actually the first one to be brought to existence. Then JavaScript was created later, and they named it JavaScript just for marketing. You see, like already the name Java was existing, so JavaScript made it look like a more advanced or a more step up language. So these two are different. JavaScript was created to run in your web browser. Web browser will refer to software such as your Chrome, your Firefox, your Safari on your iPhone, on your MacBook, Brave, your Brave browser, Microsoft Edge. All those are web browsers. So JavaScript was created to run on your web browser to manipulate the web page after it has loaded. It actually brings your website to life. In order for you to understand JavaScript's role, you also need to understand the web Trinity analogy. You need to think of it like building a house. When you build a website, think of it like you're building a house. So the most two fundamental, I like to call them languages, and I know there's a lot of people who actually disagree. There's just a debate whether this is a language or what is not a language. So to me, it's just all the languages. It's fine. So you need to understand and know the two most basic languages, which is HTML, CSS, before you can advance to JavaScript. So what is HTML? HTML as the structure. HTML is the structure, and CSS, this is, I like to call it a paint and styling. Paint and styling. Remember, I said think of this as you are building a house. So HTML, these are the bricks, the beam, and it defines the wall, where the door goes, where the window should go. So on a website, actually, HTML defines the heading, the paragraphs, and the images. So I've decided to open one of the websites on. This is actually the browser that I'm using here. It's actually this Chrome. Just want to show you HTML, how is HTML. Remember, HTML, it is the structure. It is, I said, if you think of it in terms of housing, these are the bricks, the wood, the beam. It actually defines the wall, the layout. So on a website, it defines the heading, paragraphs, image, and the buttons. This is a heading. This here, it's a heading. I don't know if I can actually try to point at this. This here, it's a heading. Yes, this is a heading. And then these, think of this as a paragraph, and then an image here. The layout itself has been defined by HTML. So in other words, it has been defined that here should be a heading, here should be a paragraph, here should be let me call this subheadings. Here should be subheadings. This is actually HTML defining this structure. Now we go to CSS. CSS is the paint and style. Paint and styling. It is, if you think of it in terms of housing, it is the color of the walls, the fancy furniture, the landscaping. It actually makes the house to look beautiful and vibrant. So on a website, CSS controls the color, the font, the layout, and the spacing. Let me show you an example. So if we head back to this website I've opened here. I just want to show you an example. Okay, take a look at this button. This button itself is in blue color, and it is in a rectangular shape, form, the length and everything. That's CSS. If you actually define this button in HTML, then in CSS you use CSS to style it. You use HTML to define the button, then you use CSS to style it. So what actually styled this is CSS. Same with this web page. You are able to see there's a tab, there's more like a tab here, there's more like a tab here, these tabs here. HTML was just used to structure these tabs, and then CSS was used to make them look like how they are looking now. If you can have a look, you can see that there's a shadow behind each tab. I don't know if you're looking, if you can see, you can see that there's shadows behind each tab. That's CSS used to define that. These two are the most fundamental languages that you need to understand, perhaps before you move to JavaScript. Now, how does JavaScript fit in the picture? Let's go back to our analogy. We are building a website, more like how we build a house. So JavaScript, it is the electricity and the plumbing of the house. It is what makes the lights turn on when you flip on a switch or you flip it off. So how do we relate this to a website? JavaScript actually adds the behavior. It makes things happen. We use JavaScript to communicate with let me not go there. If you will be following up on this series, you will learn pretty much where do we also use JavaScript. We also use JavaScript when we need to communicate with the front end and the back end. But in our scenario, in our case now, we use JavaScript as to make things happen, to make the application or the website to have a behavior. We use JavaScript for that. Now, why should you learn JavaScript? What is the power of JavaScript? First, it is essential for web development, front-end web development. What is front-end? Front-end is just a specialty or a focus in web development that actually focuses on creating how a website should look like. how it should appeal to a viewer or a browser. That's front end. And to answer one of your previous question, what is backend? Backend is what happens on the behind scenes of an application that people cannot see. You only see the front end. That's what the customer or the user interacts with. So the first thing, it is essential for the front end web development. If you want to build modern or engaging website, you must know JavaScript. Allow me to say it's not optional anymore. But the second incredible thing is how incredibly versatile it is. It is no longer just a browser language. With JavaScript, you can also build back-end servers using Node.js. Later on in this series, we'll learn what is a Node.js, and you can also build mobile applications using React Native or Ionic. Later on, we'll also learn what is a React, and it's a framework. And you can also create, you can build desktop applications using Electron. Hopefully it becomes part of the series, but that's another huge scope. And the third and the most important thing is that I believe so JavaScript is one of the most popular languages. If not popular, it's one of the most popular and massive languages. So I feel like as a developer, you just need to know how to use JavaScript. You need to know how to use this language. Now, and the fourth thing, what do you need to get started? You see, to get started with JavaScript, you don't need a lot of things. You don't need to install anything fancy. For beginner series, like this series here, you just need two things. You need a web browser. You need a text editor. Web browser, remember, I'm referring to things like Chrome, Firefox. And then secondly, you just need a text editor. Text editor can be a notepad. You can be a text edit on people who are using MacBooks. There's a text edit. And but in this series, we are going to use a text editor and VS Code. Hence, I added VS Code as third here, because this is the IDE that we'll be using to write our JavaScript code. So with all what I've said here, I'm pretty much sure that you can now define what is JavaScript. JavaScript is basically just a programming language that we use to create website, to make web pages or website be responsive, dynamic, and for a website to have behavior, for it to be able to collect what is needed at the back end to the front end, to retrieve information about a certain customer or information that was stored somewhere. We use JavaScript for this. So the first JavaScript code that we are going to write, it's going to be console.log hello world. And I'm pretty sure at this point, if you are in your beginner or in your rookie level, you probably do not know what is this console.log, and then what does this bracket do, what does these inverted commas do, this closing bracket and this semicolon do. Don't worry, I've got you. Just stick around in the series. We will learn how to code in JavaScript. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.